Solo Leveling is one of my favorite manhwas, and I cannot wait for it to be animated in due time. Today we'll go over why Solo Leveling made JIN-WOO the best. JIN-WOO starts out as an E-rank hunter and is known as the world's weakest hunter. He is constantly able to avoid death time and time again, but he soon enters a double dungeon where his demise seems inevitable. After going to the double dungeon, JIN-WOO is betrayed very early by one of his raid members. His one crewmate runs off early because he does not want to die, and JIN-WOO is left speechless as everyone else does not want to die as well. He's left to tears and cannot quite understand what really just happened to him. The crewmate who ran thanks him for helping them figure out the puzzle for a way to leave, but he does not need a thank you as he is about to die. He then offers to stay behind and keep the statues from not moving so his other two crewmates can escape. His leg was torn off, so he has no chance to walk away from the situation. In his dying moments, JIN-WOO thinks to take down at least one monster with him, though this does not happen and he has a sword speared right through his chest. JIN-WOO acknowledges that he is the weakest hunter, so he felt that staying behind to die would be alright because of that. In his dying moment, he speaks the truth to himself, realizing that he also does not want to die. In doing so, he has a message pop up in his head saying courage of the weak. With this, he is granted the right to become a player. He accepts the message and thinks he dies. He then wakes up in the hospital with all of his limbs intact and no scars. He pops up the message that he sees in front of him, and the system gives him daily requirements to hit. He has to reach these milestones every day or he receives punishment. This is a great way of building the foundation for JIN-WOO and is the first basis for solo leveling. Even throughout the whole story, JIN-WOO always had to complete his daily quests. If he did not complete these tasks, he would end up in a random place where he would have to survive for a few hours, and in the beginning it was not fun for him as he was spawned in a desert with no one else around. JIN-WOO starts to gain more stats as the series continues, and he realizes that he can get much stronger than ever before. He understands that if he dies, he cannot protect those who he wants to protect, and he will lose everything. For this exact reason, he cannot keep his head down and needs to stand tall and become strong to realize his goals. All JIN-WOO wanted to do was to protect his family and cure his dying mother. Getting betrayed is not easy, and he never wants to have that feeling ever again. The helplessness he had before and always needing someone to help him. This time he wants his own strength, where he never has to depend on someone ever again. He is no longer scared of monsters that he cannot take down anymore. He starts to gain courage and a newfound power to help him in his quest. He gets stronger and stronger each day as he gets quests from the system and continues to evolve. JIN-WOO was someone that was called the weakest hunter ever. Even with his new power, he still is recognized as that and understands that he can still get betrayed because he is weak. He seemed to have forgot that this place focuses on the survival of the fittest more than anywhere else. The system he is using needs a strong JIN-WOO to be able to survive and win. The system isn't going to make him strong. It wants him to be strong. This means that it's not just going to give him everything he wants. He still has to level up and work for it and go through tough challenges to be able to handle the system. The system uses him and he uses the system. Quite a relationship between the two as he starts to gain more knowledge of the system and how to use it while also being used. JIN-WOO is eventually given a challenge where he has to kill the remaining people in a dungeon that he is in. This is JIN-WOO's first time having to kill another person, and we see his emotions start to slowly lose itself as he turns into an absolute beast and a killer. This is the JIN-WOO with no mercy or care from anyone who opposes him. He knows his current strength and must get stronger to continue on. If he gives up because he is scared, he cannot become stronger. As JIN-WOO came face to face with an assassin, he notices that one of his emotions has died yet again. He cannot even feel anger against his opponent and instead just has an uncontrollable amount of bloodlust that activates. We get to truly see the darkness that starts to creep out of JIN-WOO, and his is darker than ever before. He notices that every time he gets stronger, something within him is lost every time. He starts to lose parts of his human side one by one. JIN-WOO goes head to head with a red knight named Icarus, where he is completely beaten. He's able to find the courage within him and win at all costs. He knows what it's like to be at rock bottom. He longs for the highest place. He knows the sadness of being weak more than anyone and always had people talk about him in bad ways. The series continues on as JIN-WOO just continues in his quest, leveling up every day. If the pain doesn't kill him, it only makes him stronger. JIN-WOO is then granted the job of Necromancer. With Necromancer, he's able to create his own army of the dead and turn people who died into his own army. Immediately after gaining the skill, he is promoted from Necromancer to Shadow Lord, and with this power you needed a special phrase to summon up your army. JIN-WOO uses a legendary phrase to this day that speaks chills when he says it, "Arise." He then makes Icarus a part of his army. JIN-WOO is a person who is in constant self-improvement. He gains new weapons and stats with the more fights he's put in. His life is put in danger at many times and his resilience helps him come out on top to win. Solo leveling really made him the best, as he just gets these constant power-ups and new moves to showcase his strength. As he continues to level up, we just see Sung Jin-Woo in a class of his own, working on getting greater and greater. The art style in solo leveling did a fantastic job showcasing his aura and his shadow identity, as a lot of times he stayed in the dark, not letting many people know about him or get close to him. During the series, we finally get to see him cure his mom with the disease that was thought to be incurable, and he finally gets emotional after seeing his mom for the first time in 4 years. The reason he became a hunter was to get money for his family to be able to cure his mom, and he finally was able to achieve the goal he so longed for. Sung Jin-Woo was very caring as well, as he teleports to Jeju Island during the Jeju Island raid arc to save the hunters from dying. He has a skill called Shadow Exchange, which allows him to teleport to anywhere his shadows are immediately. He comes face to face with the Ant King, who no one is able to kill at all. He smiles at him and says it's cute how a bug is talking. This is one of the biggest fights in solo leveling, as Sung Jin-Woo became famous in the world after this fight. In my opinion, the Jeju Island raid arc is the best arc in solo leveling, and it really put Sung Jin-Woo on the map. After this, his name was known everywhere, and he was getting a lot of attention. Also, his fight against the Ant King is also a notorious fight, as we get to see Sung Jin-Woo's skill firsthand against a powerful foe and turn the Ant King into a shadow soldier named Beirut. The Ant King was a powerful foe that no one was able to stop, and Sung Jin-Woo steps in to save world-class hunters and achieve victory all by himself. Solo leveling always had Sung Jin-Woo dripped out for the whole series. He was always in nice outfits and great attire, and you could see the fashion sense in him. Solo leveling is very popular from its art style, and it only makes sense as I think it has some of the best artwork of a manhwa ever. Sung Jin-Woo continues to walk a solo lonely path with his shadows to prevent anyone from getting hurt. He does not want to lose any more people and continues on his quest, as he knows his path only leads to more darkness. Sung Jin-Woo gets ready to return to the double dungeon. This was the same dungeon that was supposed to kill him, but instead he was granted the system and was able to live again. Last time he was there, he had a lot of doubts and was terrified for his life. But this time, he realizes that things have changed. By this point in the story, Sung Jin-Woo has gone through many trials and tribulations, but has continued to grow stronger than ever and can face the opposing evil that will meet him. We see Sung Jin-Woo have intense rage moments, one where he finds out his sister is getting attacked at her school. We only see him use these emotions only a handful of times, and his rage is enticing as every one of his shadows notice the kind of rage going on inside of him. These intense moments often glorify Sung Jin-Woo's inner spirit, as he can feel emotions and be susceptible to things due to these unfortunate outcomes. He has seen pain and near-death experiences many times in his life, but for someone he cares about to be at harm, it's an even bigger obstacle for him, as he does not want his family and friends to be hurt. Sung Jin-Woo comes back to the place where it all started, the place that changed his life forever and made him who he is now. By this time in the story, we really didn't know too much about the system and its origins. Sung Jin-Woo was using a powerful tool that wasn't really described too well, and finally we return back to the original place to figure that out. He's able to defeat the creator of the system and finds out the details of his power. Through this, he sees the first Shadow Monarch and in flashback through his mind. He then realizes that he has a second heart, and his aura now turns purple compared to blue. Sung Jin-Woo is granted even more power now than ever before, and gets closer to becoming the once original Monarch from before. We see another incredible rage moment from Sung Jin-Woo as his friend gets captured and he goes everywhere looking for him. He faces off against Hwan Dong-soo, who is an S-rank hunter who was in America at the time. Sung Jin-Woo killed his younger brother in the earlier chapters. He beats him down to a pulp and starts to cause commotion from Thomas Andre, the #1 hunter in the world at this time. Sung Jin-Woo does not care who Thomas Andre is anyway, and he is fueled with rage after what Han Dong-soo did to his friend. Andre wanted him to apologize to spare his life, and we get this iconic photo of Sung Jin-Woo where he simply doesn't give a fuck and tells his army to advance. Sung Jin-Woo has had a lot of iconic moments, and the artwork done on this fight was amazing. As the story gets closer to its end, Sung Jin-Woo is killed by monarchs and starts to have memories where he can change things. He eventually meets the first Shadow Monarch named Ashbourne, where he tells Sung Jin-Woo more about his past and how he became the Shadow Monarch and why he needed a successor like Sung Jin-Woo. With this, Sung Jin-Woo is finally granted all of Ashbourne's power and is able to defeat the Frost Monarch. We see Sung Jin-Woo also defeat the Monarch of Destruction later on and saves the world by going back in time to prevent all these things that happened before. He's now just a 14-year-old boy with massive power and spent 27 years in a dimensional gap to defeat the Monarchs, causing casualties to Earth. And the story now ends peacefully. Sung Jin-Woo is truly a one-of-a-kind character. He starts off as the weakest hunter in the world and just continues to gain strength after overcoming many trials and tasks. The system of solo leveling helped to develop Sung Jin-Woo into now the world's greatest hunter. I think solo leveling is so big because of the way they made a weak hunter turn into the best through discipline and an overpowered leveling system. Given those facts, Sung Jin-Woo still had to pull his own weight in order to gain the strength that he desired. It's about the desire to protect what's important for oneself, and the determination and resolve to go through with all the necessary and sometimes bad things to achieve one's goals. Well, I thank you guys for watching the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.